Alright guys, so today's video we're going to check out something a little bit different. Today we're going to be looking at the Soundcore Motion Boom Plus Bluetooth speaker. Now this is the newest speaker from Soundcore, and Soundcore, if you're not familiar, is one of those companies. They initially started out with very inexpensive products, but their brand just kept on building. And in fact, the Liberty 3 Pros from Soundcore is probably one of the best true wireless earbuds that you can buy in the market. So they definitely have built their brand, and I think that kind of ties into this new speaker. They're basically taking two of their most popular speakers, which is the Soundcore Motion Boom and the Motion Plus, and they've kind of combined it into this larger, more powerful speaker. And it does come in retailing at 179 bucks. So it is about $70 more than the Motion Boom and the Motion Plus that I just mentioned. But I think there's some really interesting things to look at here, because this speaker, in my opinion, I think is a direct competitor to JBL's Extreme speaker, but it comes in with the JBL Charges price. Now this speaker does use Bluetooth 5.3, so this is now the second product on the channel that we've checked out that has Bluetooth 5.3, which means with this speaker I didn't have any kind of connection issues. And this is one of those you can get a pretty good distance away from, about 40 to 50 feet, before you start noticing any kind of disconnect. So that is a huge plus, especially if you're going to be in an environment that's more open like outdoors. You shouldn't have any connection issues there. Now another huge noticeable upgrade with this speaker is just the overall power. Now it has 80 watts total power, it has 60 watts that's going to the woofers, and then it has 20 watts that's going to the tweeters. So it is separating its bass and separating the mids and the highs so that you can get this very just thick, punchy sound, but not lose any of your details. But we'll talk about that once we get to the sound. Now another thing about using a lot of these Soundcore products, and I feel the same way about Sony products, is this speaker works with Soundcore's app. And just like Sony's, it's one of the best in the market just because of the EQ options that you have. So there's several different EQ options you can switch between within the speaker, but you can also go in and customize the speaker yourself. But I'm going to tell you this, the first thing you're going to want to do when you download the app is update the firmware on the speaker. I noticed a huge difference once I updated it to the newest firmware. It just did something with the sound. It got rid of some static noise that I was getting before the update. So Soundcore is one of those companies that's pretty good about keeping their products updated. So definitely make sure to download the app. Now another feature that Soundcore has put in a lot of their newer products is the Party Cast feature. So if you have any other speaker that has the Party Cast 2.0, you can simply just kind of piggyback the connection off of this speaker, and basically you can connect as many speakers as you want. I think I've seen 100 speakers connected all at once. So the PartyCast 2.0 feature is really nice to have. Now as far as using the Motion Boom Plus outdoors, it does come in rated at IP67, so not only is it waterproof, it also has a really good amount of dust protection as well. And the plus about that is you can use this on the beach, or you can use it on a job site. You don't have to worry about dust and dirt and things like that. And it's also, again, a huge plus that you don't have to worry about water. If you just happen to knock it off the edge and it falls into a pool, the speaker is going to be fine. Now, as far as the battery life on this speaker, now when you have a speaker that is pumping out about 80 watts of power, it is going to cut down on the battery life because this speaker does get less battery life than the Motion Boom had. So the Motion Boom gave you about 24 hours, and the Motion Boom Plus is going to get you about 20 hours. Now, I will say that is going to kind of depend on how loud you listen to these, or if you're using the bass up or the bass boost feature that the speaker has, because that is drastically going to pull that battery life down. So definitely keep that in mind. But speaking of the charging, and one feature I do like about this speaker is it has the ability to charge your other devices. It has a USB port in the back. You just simply remove the little flap that's covering the inputs, because this speaker does charge via USB-C, so you have a USB-C input on the back. And it also has an auxiliary input. So if you have a device that you just want to use a straight 3.5mm connection, you can plug that device into this speaker. But oddly enough, although it does obviously come with the charging cable, it doesn't come with the auxiliary cable, which I'm used to seeing in a lot of devices that has the auxiliary input. But as far as anything else that comes in the box, it does actually come with a strap so that you can just carry this speaker by having the strap over your shoulder. Now, I don't necessarily think that you have to use this strap because the speaker itself, although it is fairly large, it is very light. I mean, it is an all plastic build, and initially when I picked it up, the speaker just kind of felt cheap because it felt so light. But I can see the advantage to this because you don't want the added weight to make it that much more cumbersome. Now, as far as the actual overall design, it really isn't flashy at all. I mean, it just looks like a simple speaker, and I guess that's really what it is. On the top is where all of your buttons are located. Now, you have the power button, you also have the Bluetooth, you have the bass up button, and then you have the party cast button. Those are your actual small round buttons, and then in the middle is where your volume up and your volume down is located. So now let's talk about the sound, because when I initially started using this speaker before I updated the firmware within the app, I thought that it was way too bass heavy. I mean, it was just muddy sounding. It had this thick, warm sound to it. But luckily, the firmware update fixed all of that. But also turning off that bass up feature drastically changed things as well. And you can kind of tell this within the app because when the bass up feature is turned on, the left side of the EQ is just boosted all the way up. So bass is turned up as high as it can possibly go, and it doesn't do anything else to adjust your mids and your highs. So you might want to go in and manually change this. I did find that I liked leaving the bass up feature on because it just adds that much more punch out of this speaker. This is one of the loudest speakers that I've heard in this size. It definitely, again, competes with that JBL Extreme speaker, which is also a very loud speaker. But the Motion Boom Plus, in my opinion, does a much better job of giving you clean, detailed mids and treble. Because I feel like the JBL Extreme gives you plenty of low end, but I feel like that low end sometimes does affect your mids and highs, and I don't feel like it does that with the Motion Boom Plus. So really my overall opinion is if you're just looking for a really loud Bluetooth speaker and you want bass, or even if you just want really good clarity, it's gonna be hard to top this, especially in this price range. Again, like I said, if you're looking at JBL's offerings, you're gonna have to spend about $100 more to get something that's even going to compete with this speaker, in my opinion. So I do like the fact that they've upgraded this to Bluetooth 5.3. I do also like that they've upgraded the protection because the Motion Boom speaker only had IPX7, where this speaker has IP67. So now you have dust protection, and it just gives you a little more peace of mind using this speaker out on the beach. But they also upgraded the power from 60 watts on the Motion Boom to now 80 watts on this Motion Boom Plus. And that Party Cast 2.0, especially if you have some other Soundcore speakers that have this, it's just nice to have because it spreads your sound in a room or outdoors and just makes it where you can just feel a larger space. So really the only drawback, and this comes with the added power that's added to this speaker, is you do lose some of the battery life that the original Motion Boom had. So do keep that in mind, but I'll take the added power all day long. I mean, I'm not going to listen to a speaker more than, 12 to 15 hours in a single day. So the battery life is more than sufficient. Just know that it's gonna take you about 5 hours to fully charge it. So this is one of those you would just wanna charge the night before if you plan on using it for a full day. But guys, that wraps up my video on the brand new Soundcore Motion Boom Plus. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.